Today, we have the author, the global technical leader, and the women who graduated in the 1970s from electronics and communication engineering and setting an inspiration to all the young women. None other than the humble and the down to earth Shantha Mohan, who is a faculty at the Carnegie Mellon University. Thank you for joining us today. How are you, ma'am?
I'm well, Sweta. Thank you so much for having me in this interview.
Okay. So, traveling down the memory lane, we know the scenario of India in the late 90s, where it was a patriarchal mindset and the role of the women was stereotyped to being housewives and that. But what inspired you to pursue a career in STEM?
Think it might have something to do with my father, who was a doctor, and he actually wanted to be an engineer, but due to the fact that he couldn't stay in a hostel and also take care of his mother, who was widowed, he decided to pursue medicine. So my family is kind of a STEM family in the sense that my older sister studied medicine, and I said I want to fulfill my father's wishes, and so I would like to become an engineer. But I was also one of those people who always was curious about how things work, and so it seemed like engineering was a good choice for me.
Okay, having a support from the family is a really big thing, but were there any other challenges that you faced during those times?
The challenge was really one where I had to go from Madurai, where I used to live, to Chennai to study. And that was a big deal in my family. Nobody had done uh, that before, meaning leaving the home and going and staying in a hostel and studying. But luckily, my sister was such a staunch supporter of me that she spoke to my parents and said, no, she should go. And so I was able to then come to Chennai for my studies.
Of late, you've been co-creating curriculums in educational institutions, and you also like even funded to explore new frontiers in engineering and technology at CEG. Do you see a change in the quality of education at CEG over the years?
I I can't say I know enough about over the years because after I graduated from CEG, I worked for a few years and went off to the US. And I was so focused on my family and my career, I never really thought about CEG much. However, when I retired in 2016, that's when I started to say, how can I give back to my alma mater? And so I got involved in the Alumni Association in North America and kind of started to follow what was going on. So I don't think I'm qualified to say how things have changed. When I was studying, we had a 5-year curriculum, but now it's 4. And when I was studying, there were so few girls in the college. Now there are just, almost half of the population is girls. So that's what I would say. However, I think the recent times, there has been a lot of interest in making entrepreneurship important for the students. There's been a lot of focus in how to connect the industry and education. So it's all going in the right direction, I would say. Not fast enough, but it's going.
Also, this raises an important question. So, during your times, the gender gap obviously it would have been very poor. But even today, the literacy rate amongst the women is much lesser as compared to the men, and the women enrolling into these higher education is much lesser.
Yeah.
Why do you think that's the case, and how can this be improved?
I think that education will help in the sense that we need to be very proactive in promoting education for women. Uh, However, I find that even when there is education, it's after education, what happens to women? That is more of a problem because people get degrees, in engineering and other STEM fields. They go to work for a few years and then they get married, they have a child, and then they leave the workforce. I think that to me is a bigger problem than women studying, because I think that is actually happening. A lot of women are entering colleges and studying STEM. It's evident from looking at just CEG, how many women are there. But do they all go out and work and stay in the workforce? No. So that to me is a bigger problem.
So there's a big change that is needed to bring to even enhance this. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've also seen you authored the book called Leadership Lessons with the Beatles, talking
Mhm.
about humanistic leadership. So
Yeah.
how do you think a person should mold himself to become a leader?
A leader is somebody who is not thinking about themselves. A leader should be somebody who says, I am here to serve my team members or my followers. And that is, to me, is leadership. Think of how can you help others? How can you make them leaders? How can you devote yourself to the betterment of others? That is the definition of a leader for me. And there is a leadership theory called servant leadership, which was, you know, defined a long time ago. But I believe that there are a lot of people today who do follow that and are working selflessly to make their team members better and working together to achieve some results. That would be my definition of leadership.
So do these educational institutions have a role to play in bringing good leadership?
Absolutely. I think that in addition to teaching people STEM, they should be teaching them emotional intelligence. I believe that if everything is wrapped in emotional intelligence, all decision making, empowerment, and so on, the world would be a much better place. And, in CEG, we started this EQ club mainly because of this reason that we wanted to promote emotional intelligence, help everybody support each other. And I think with the, things like that, things could be better. Yeah.
Okay, so I've read a quote somewhere where your aptitude is just 20%, whereas your attitude is the 80% brings you success.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
Okay, and also I've seen a lot of posts you writing about having a mentor and how. So how important is it for a student to have a mentor, and what type of conversations can a mentor and a mentee have? How can they benefit from such mentorship?
Sure. I think, today we talk a lot about mentorship. Everybody has somebody in their lives who looks at what they are doing and helps them, gives them advice. And usually it happens to be their parents and perhaps some teachers. It's just that we never used to formally call them mentors. But it is important that uh, everybody has somebody that they can look up to and ask for advice, get guidance in how they should be approaching, let's say, higher studies or career and any other life matters. I believe mentoring is very, very important.
Okay. Well said, ma'am. So, speaking of your times at CG, do you recall any memorable incidents from your times or some memories that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I remember the way our batch of women were such a tight knit group. We used to do things together. I remember I have never cut a class in my life, but in CEG, we all cut class to go see one movie. That was a big event for me. Things like that stay with you. And even today, after 50 plus years, we are still friends. And that is, I think, very precious, having formed all those bonds when we were studying. And also, we have these, we just had our golden jubilee, and it was wonderful to see all the, you know, batchmates and reminisce, about old days. Yeah.
Okay, so that's so insightful and keep giving us your support, ma'am. Like you're a visionary and enlightened leadership, I would say. So it's so proud to have you're one of my senior actually. You're from EC. I'm also from EC. So
Yeah, right.
so it's
That's right. Yeah.
So proud of it. So, SIGM 4.0 is coming on Jan 3rd and 4th, 2025, ma'am. We're looking forward to have you here, if possible.
Oh, I wish I could travel, but I most likely won't. So I will be, remote and participate as best as I can.